Good afternoon, everybody. This is Rick Ramos from the Blackboard Help Desk at the University of Miami. Today we're going to talk about the office hours and the interface. But first, let me introduce you the people that are going to be doing the session today. Bill Bilberg, Brett Stevens, myself, and Michael Bonanno. I think Michael is not going to be here today. I had to step out early. Okay, so this is the agenda for today. I will be doing the Collaborate interface introduction. Brett is going to talk about SlideShare and embedding PowerPoint presentations. And Bill will be talking about using the Blackboard Collaborate in Blackboard Learn. Using the Collaborate interface. Okay, as you will see on your screen, you have 4 distinct areas. The first one is the audio video panel right here. Right under that, on the left, you have the participant panel. And right under the participant panel, you will see the chat panel. This would allow you to ask any questions if you have any. And right here in the middle, you'll have the content area. This is where the sharing of the session will appear. You will see the slides on your screen. In the audio panel, audio-video panel right here, there's several distinct areas. The black screen here will show you the video. If you don't have a webcam, you will not be able to see your face, but you will see our beautiful persons that we are. You will see them in here. To continue on that part, the audio-video panel, at the bottom of the video screen, you have the talk button. This would allow you to toggle on or off if you want to talk. So if you raise your hand and want to talk, just click on talk, and we will all be able to hear you. If you have a webcam and would like to introduce yourself from a webcam, just hit the video button and we will be able to see you. Right above the talk and the video button, you have the microphone volume button and the speaker volume button over here. So this would allow you to listen to have a louder sound, or you can improve the performance of your microphone. On the top right corner of the audio-video panel, you have the audio setup wizard. If you haven't done it yet, I encourage you to do it. This will allow you to set up your speakers and your microphone. Moving on the other options, in the menu here, you will see a series of other options that you have. Among them, you have the microphone settings, the speaker settings, the camera settings. And this button over here, if you're not using a webcam or if you do not care to see us on your computer, you can collapse this window over here, and the audio-video panel will appear to you like this on the left. In the participant panel, you will see a list of all the participants in this session. So you'll see their names if they have entered it correctly when they enter the session, and you'll see how many there is. So looking at the participant panel, that would be you if you're in here, and everybody else will be here. You also have some other options on the top, like for example, raise your hand. If you have a question, press this button to let us know that you have a question, like Bill just did, and based if you're the number 1 or number 2 or number 3, it will show up a number next to your name to let us know who raised their hand first. Then we will give you the floor to ask a question. The other options are the smiley faces. There's a series of options that you have here. Feel free to look at them. If you need to step away for whatever reason, this is the button to click. This will let us know that you're not at your desk in front of the presentation. And this button here shows a yes/no option. Sometimes we have questions and we want to know if you understood or if you agree. And this will allow you to respond yes or no. Okay, chat panel. This will allow you to ask your questions. We will be reading them and we will be answering them on the chat. If you prefer to ask them verbally, you can always do that by pressing the talk button as shown earlier in the audio-video panel. The content area, this is where you will see the information happening. So all the slides will be showing up over here. Anybody has a question? Greatly appreciated your time with us. So feel free to ask any question and we'll be happy to answer them. Is it okay with everybody? Okay, let's do a little test. Did everybody understood the presentation before? Please yes or no. Okay, a yes or a no. Thank you. Okay, great. All right. So if no questions, let's proceed to the next slide. And I'm going to pass the floor to Brett so he can go ahead and talk about SlideShare and embedding PowerPoint and PowerPoint presentation with SlideShare in Blackboard. Brett?
Thank you, Rick. So I'm going to be talking about SlideShare for embedding PowerPoint presentations and more in Blackboard Learn. What is SlideShare? SlideShare is the self-declared world's largest community for sharing presentations. It also supports Word documents and PDFs and some other formats that we're not going to be talking about today, but they do have more than just PowerPoint presentations they can do. So let's get right on into how SlideShare works. The first thing you'll need to do is sign up for an account. They do have free registration, and once you have that set up, you log in and click on Upload. Let me go ahead and get a little click Upload, and once you upload your file, you'll go on to this page to give it a title or edit the title of the file. Select a category, that's a required option there. If you want to, give it a description, and then assign some tags to it. You'll need to set it to public, but actually no, it defaults to public, and private is a pro feature, but private doesn't work with what we're going to do right now anyway. So once you've saved that, we can go on to the Blackboard side of things. Unfortunately, you do have to wait about 30 minutes before you're going to be able to get your slides into Blackboard there. So after you've uploaded your file, go get some coffee and come back. And then when you're in your Blackboard course, go to Build Content and select the SlideShare presentation match up there. And there you'll have an option to search for whatever you called your presentation here. You see here I've titled mine Kaltura. And then you want to sort by date added so that you can see the newest ones, which yours will be in the newest there. And then you can preview to see if that's the one you actually want, but you can also see that you're the person that uploaded it. And then you click Select. And once that's done, it'll bring you to the Mashups Options page. Here you can name the content item here, change the color if you want, of course, add a description, and then set the mashup options. A couple of things here for the view. You have thumbnail, text link with player, and embed presentation. The thumbnail will just show you a little picture. The text link with player will do pretty much the same as embed presentation, but we're just going to do embed presentation for now. You can show the SlideShare URL if you want them to be able to go over to that web page and view it there. And then you can also select whether or not to show the SlideShare information. It's really a personal preference at that point. And this is what it looks like once you have it in there and your students are looking at it. You've got just simple tools to go to the beginning of the presentation, go back a slide, go forward a slide, go to the end of the presentation, and you can go full screen with it. And you can also select which slide specifically you want to go to. So I'm going to do a live demo of this. Share out my desktop, and bear with me while I get this set up for you. It's not being very cooperative. Just a moment. That's why. Okay, we'll go ahead and go with that. Actually, let me shrink it just a little bit more so you get a better view. So this is the SlideShare web page here. I'm just going to walk you through uploading something. So we click on Upload here once you're logged in, and then click on Upload again, and we select the file. I'm going to go ahead and select my slides for this presentation. And that loads up, and we'll have a little preview here, and select a category. I'm going to select Education, and I'm not going to put any tags. We don't necessarily need that there. So once I save that, we can go on over to Blackboard. And here in the course documents, we go to Build Content, SlideShare Presentation, and of course I don't have time to wait 30 minutes for it, so I'm just going to search for Kaltura again, since that's one I've already uploaded. Sort by date added, click Go, and there we have my slides. If I click Preview, it lets me just click through. And I can just confirm my slides are all there. And once we're done there, just a second, I'm getting an error from Blackboard Collaborate. And once we've confirmed that, we can click Select. And we're here at the Mashup Options screen. So here I'm going to select Embed Presentation. And No for both of these, just so it's a simple display there. Go back up to the top and click Submit. And there we have it in the content area. We can click through the slides here and go full screen if we wanted to. So I'm going to go back here. Just a moment. Application sharing. Stop sharing. And that concludes the presentation on SlideShare. Do we have any questions? All right, thank you very much. I'm going to pass you back over to Bill.
Hi, this is Bill. I'm going to talk about Blackboard Collaborate in Blackboard Learn. Yesterday we announced Blackboard Collaborate's availability outside of Blackboard Learn, and it occurred to me that it would be good to review the use of it inside of Blackboard Learn. Blackboard Collaborate is a webinar system. It can be used for web conferencing. It can be used for teaching, as we are here, office hours, review sessions, teaching your class if you're away at a seminar or something. Lots of great uses for it. And it's a really simple system to use, so I'm going to walk through a couple things. I've got two learning objectives for this session. One is that you know how to access the default Blackboard Collaborate rooms in Blackboard Learn. And let me be clear, Blackboard Learn is our course management system where you put material for your courses. Blackboard Collaborate is a separate product. It can be used outside of Blackboard Learn or within. Blackboard bought it, and they actually bought two products, Wimba and Illuminate, and put them together to make a new product called Collaborate. So we now have to talk about Blackboard Collaborate, Blackboard Learn, and Blackboard LLC, the company that does all of this, and Blackboard Managed Hosting, the company, the part of the company that provides us with our managed hosting and hosts our system. So anyway, we're going to talk about the default Blackboard Collaborate rooms. And then I'm going to tell you how to create a link to a Blackboard Collaborate room for student access. Students access it differently than the faculty access. I'm going to talk through it, show you some small screen images, and then I'll do a live demo. The Blackboard Collaborate rooms in Blackboard Learn. To get to them, you start with the control panel. That's number 1 here. The control panel in your course. Automatically, there are at least 2 rooms created for every course. One for the course and one for the instructor. If there are multiple instructors, there will be multiple rooms inside that course. Then you go to Course Tools, and then you go to Blackboard Collaborate, step 3. Now, since the control panel is only available to the instructor, this is how the instructor gets there. Later I'll talk about how the students get there. Once you click on that Blackboard Collaborate, a page will come up and you will see at least 3 boxes here of rooms. And I refer to a room just like a classroom. It's a virtual room. You can use it for different things at different times, whatever. So the first one is the classes room. In this case, I'm in a class called GED 101A, and that's the class room. This is the instructor's room. Often the instructor will want to use the instructor's room for office hours and things, and say, in this room, all of my students can get in. In the classroom, I just want the students in this class to get in. Now that's completely arbitrary. You can set it up however you want, but that's my way of remembering it. Classroom, class events, my room, my default room, all of my students. I can also, on both of these, you can see that there's an allow guests. I can let other people in there outside of the University of Miami, outside of Blackboard completely. But those are my rules of thumb. And then the third thing is the manually created rooms, the schedule a session. So that lets you create a specific session for a specific purpose. Rick, you want to add something?
Yes, I just wanted to add that in the room here, if you launch the room, you are the only moderator in there. So, for example, if you have your TA, or for example here, if you have your TA create a session, make sure that the person also adds you as the moderator. The same thing here for your room. If you launch a room and you want somebody else to be the moderator, in the edit options, make sure you put that other person as a moderator. Otherwise, you'll be the only one leading the session. So just a little note that I wanted to add there.
Brian asked a question, does my room automatically show up as the same link in all my classes? And the answer is, when you go into your control panel, yes, your room, William Vilberg's room, every class that I'm an instructor in, that box will be there, and it's always the same room. So anything that I do with that, allowing guests, whatever, grabbing the public URL is what allow guests means, and sending that out to people. They're always going to go into that room. That one is yours, and the class one is the classes. And I guess another tip is, as we get to URLs and start looking at those, go to tinyurl.com, go to goo.gl, Google's URL shortener, go to snipurl or snurl, snurl.com, and shorten up the URL. It's really messy. So if you do want to use yours, and mine is actually tinyurl.com/Bill Vilberg, and you just want to participate, tinyurl.com/UIMEDV. Those are just rooms. Actually, they were created as sessions, but long-term sessions, so we can use it over and over again. Does that help, Brian? Oops. Oh, that page is supposed to say demonstration, but somehow it got lost. So let me go to application sharing and Firefox and Blackboard Learn. And can I get a green check mark if you can see my announcements page on my GED 101A course? Okay, super. Thank you very much. So I'm in this course, and the first thing I want to do is show you how to get over to your sites, your classrooms. I'm in the course. I go down to Control Panel. If it's closed, I open it up. I go to Course Tools, and then I go to Blackboard Collaborate. That was Control Panel, Course Tools, Blackboard Collaborate. And note that there is another one called Collaboration. That's the old stuff that we used to use, chat and all that. So Course Tools is where you want to go. I'm sorry, Course Tools and Blackboard Collaborate. And the page comes up, the Blackboard Collaborate page. And in this case, I've got the course room, my personal room, and the schedule a session capability to create more sessions. If I'm going to use my course room for something, I click on Launch Room. And the same process that you used to get into this session will be repeated. You'll download a little Java program, it'll open up, and you'll be in the interface that Rick talked about earlier. Same thing on William Vilberg's room, or if I create a session and then go down to schedule sessions, I can do that as well. I should mention on this page there is a link to the recordings. The dates are always, this is the last week, and schedule sessions are in the coming week. So if you want to look further in the future, you have to change the date, and if you want to look at recordings from more than a week ago, you have to change the date here. These are for your use primarily, well, exclusively, because they're in the control panel right now. There is a way to add that whole access up here for the students, but in general, I'm not going to describe that today. So, oops, let's see. Let's go back. Up. Trying to get this and get it, so there we go. Okay, let's go back to the page, to the whiteboard. And I said that there were two goals in this session. One is to access the default Blackboard Collaborate rooms in Blackboard Learn. So I hope that you understand what the rooms are. There's a room for every class. There's a room for every instructor by default. Don't have to do anything for those. And you access them through the control panel, course tools, Blackboard Collaborate. You can then launch a session, and this is what Rick was talking about. If you click on that link, you are the moderator. And you have to have a moderator. So make sure that that's how you get to your course, is by going in there and clicking on that link. Part 2 is to talk about the links. Now, the instructor uses the course tool that we talked about, the Blackboard Collaborate. Students use a link that you create. Students use a link that you create. So you're going to put a link into the course site that they can use to join this session. And I'm going to make a webinars course area. I'm going to put in the left part of the menu of the course, webinars, where we've got course documents and announcements and all that stuff. And then I'm going to create a link for this webinar that we're doing. This one being not the one you're watching, but the one I'm talking about. I'm going to be gone next Wednesday. I want to do a webinar and have the students interact at the regular time of the class, but they don't have to be in the classroom if they don't want to. And let them just go into this thing, click on that link, and they'll be into the webinar. And let me say, my statement was they don't have to be in the classroom. You can require them to be in the classroom and use the computer in the classroom, but then the audio back and forth can be harder because we've got microphones pretty close to our mouths and that kind of stuff, whereas in a classroom you've got a big area. So that can add a dimension. But I'm not going to be here next Wednesday. I want to teach my class on time, so I'm going to make a link that the students can use to get into my course site. First thing I'm going to do is add a webinars course area. You probably know how to do this. It's like any other course area. There's a plus add menu item up at the top of the menu. There's we're going to add a content area because we're just going to put the link into that content area. I'm going to rename it to webinars. I'm going to make it available to students. I'm going to submit to make sure that it happens. And then I'm going to drag it up and down to wherever I want it in the menu bar. So this is just review. This isn't anything specific to Collaborate. This is the stuff that's important. I'm going to go back to my rooms in the control panel, course tools, Blackboard Collaborate. So I see that box that has that room. And I click on the Add Link link. I then rename the link. This is the thing that they're going to see. This is the thing they're going to click on. And I give it the name of what it is. And I can have this link all over the place in different courses and different, well, not in different courses if it's a course link, but if it was my office hour link, I could use it for all kinds of different stuff. A review session, office hours, anything I want to. And if I name the links well, the students will know how to use it. If not, they won't know which one to click on. Now, if they all go to the same place, who cares? But we had a case where somebody was trying to use this and sent the students to the page that you were looking at, and there was a special session that they had made, but the students were trying to get into the course room or the instructor's room, and they were sitting there all by themselves. They didn't know that the activity was in this other link. So do try to name it something so the students will know what it is. And decide, I just made that webinars area, so I'm going to put it there. And there's no requirement for that. If you've got your course organized by weeks or by units or activities or something, and there's a webinar that goes into there, put it wherever you want it. But this is where you select which area. I've only got 3 content areas: course document, assignments, and webinar. So I change the name and I select the content area. Now I select the link options. Ooh, 112. Not very good at numbering, am I? Okay, number 1 is to put the description. And in the description, what it is and when it's going to happen. If this is Wednesday from 10:10 to 10:50 a.m. and this specific Wednesday, put that in. If it's every Thursday from 2 to 4, these are your office hours and this is where they should click to enter them, put that in. Whatever, give them information. And my suggestion is to put the time into the description, and later on we'll have the option of doing date restrictions way down at the bottom. I don't suggest that you use that because that means that the link appears and disappears and the students can get confused with that. In the comment section, I've got some text here. I encourage them to test the link at least 24 hours before the session because some people will have trouble getting in. Macs have issues because this is Java, and Macs often turn off the Java whenever a new threat is revealed in it. But there's a solution, their Collaborate Launcher, which wraps it in Java, whatever. But if they have trouble, they can contact the Blackboard Help Desk. That's the group that Rick manages, at either the phone number specified during normal office hours, 9 to 5, or send email to blackboardhelp@miami.edu. Brian wants to know if I'll send you the text. Absolutely. I'll put it on. I'll send it to everybody who is here, and release to Brian, and I'll put it on the page that where we put this video. And then I save down at the bottom. I do not mess with the required. If this is a class and they're supposed to do this, you can turn that on, but you'll see in a second all it does in this case is say required. It doesn't keep track of who is there. It just tells them they're supposed to be there. The other one is optional. So properly, I guess this class should be required and my office hours should be optional. And then the date restrictions, I don't encourage using those. Again, that's the thing that turns it on the link or hides it, and students get confused when they go to a page and things appear and disappear. So I like to have the stuff there, but it's at your discretion. You can set date restrictions as to when it shows up in Blackboard. This is what the students will see. I'm now in student view. You can see I've got a return to teacher view up here, so I clicked on the student view. I no longer have a control panel down at the bottom of my menus, and I no longer have that plus because the students can't change your menu on you. But I do have the webinars link, and I clicked on that and came into this class webinar. And remember, this is the title that I gave it. This is really just the class room. And it really gets confusing because in Blackboard Collaborate they're called sessions, but you can use a session multiple times, so very confusing to me. So I call it the room. So this is the same, the course room that I could use for multiple purposes, and it is that's the title that I gave it here. This is the description that I gave it, that the students see that, and then down in the comment is my wording for testing this link. So all the student has to come in, and one thing that can be confusing is that where it says class webinar and the date, that is a link. So I guess it may be in the description or in class beforehand to walk them through that this is a link and that's where you go. Oh, Brian, I edited my room, and now I have 2 links in the student section, but only 1 room in my tools section. We're going to have to go in and take a look at that with you because I couldn't find a way to delete either one of those rooms. But if there is one, we'll find out how. I can delete this without any problem. this link to the webinar, but it's not deleting the room. If I still go back to teacher view and control panel and all that stuff, I'll still see that page. But let me go through the demo now. I wonder why that doesn't show up. Oh well. Let me go back to screen sharing and resume sharing. And green check if you can see my Blackboard Collaborate. Excellent, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to just go back to the announcements just to start on the front, what I use for the front of the page. And I swear, I'm heavy, but that picture down there makes me much wider than the picture up on top. I have to deal with that. I'm sure it's the camera. Okay, so we're going to walk through the same steps that we talked about. I want to create the section up on top for the webinars. So I go up to this plus, I don't even click on it, I just hover over it. I come down to content area and I click on it. I give it a name. And I think webinar is a term that your students will be familiar with, so it makes sense to them, but that's, you may have something else, right, like online course or online session or something. I'm going to go ahead and make it available right now, and I'm going to submit it. It comes in at the bottom, so I hover over it, and this is that activity that simplifies things, but makes it kind of confusing. I have to hover over it and then grab that arrow over on the left and drag it, click and drag up to where I want it. I'm going to put it right under Course Documents. The little box over here tells me that there's nothing in it. So in fact, right now the students wouldn't see it. But I click on it to go to the webinar, and I want to, oh no, I don't do anything there. Excuse me. I'm going over to, now I want to add the link. And I add the link from the course tool, Blackboard Collaborate. So I go over there. This is the room that I want to use, the classroom, and I add the link. This is where the name is, and again, it just uses the name of the class with room at the end of it. So I want session from New York, Wednesday, April 9th, 2014. My content areas, I've only got 2 content areas in this site right now, this course site, so I click on webinars, that's where I want it to go. And then I come down and I've got a detail section and date restriction. So I'm going to go to the detail section. This is where I put in my description. This webinar will be used, and I'm not going to type it all out again, but I say when it's going to be used and why it's going to be used, and that they, you know, click on the title above to open the webinar, or join maybe would be better. I go down here and you should test this process at least 24 hours before the session. Depending on your students, they will do that or not. But at least you've asked them to do it. You will get people who will say, you know, I don't know what's going on. I tried to enter, it didn't work, and you can point to that. If you are going to use this a lot, then have a session early on in the semester that says, it doesn't count for anything, it's just a chance for them to connect, and everybody has to do it, and they get a free point or whatever it happens to be, a bonus point or something, just to make sure that they can get in. proving the technology, having the students go through the process where it isn't content related, where it isn't going to affect their grade, and whether they can learn or not is crucial, I think. I'm going to go ahead and make this required so you can see what happens. Here is the date restriction thing. Again, I do not encourage you to use that. You can if you want to. And I click Save. I get the success notice, link was added to the content area. So I go over to webinars where it was added, and I now have my session. I'm not going to click on that, but if I did click on that, it would open up Collaborate. Since I'm already using Collaborate, I don't want to do it right now. That is fully editable, so you can go in and make changes to it. You can change the title, you can change the description and comment and all that kind of stuff. So feel free to do that. And I guess there was one other comment. You could also remove this link if you want to, right? If you've got a link there and you've got an extra one, you can delete it, and you're only deleting the link, not the room in the back. So you can remove those or hide them. After April 9th, I may want to get rid of it because I'm not going to use it again and the students don't need to see it there. So at that point, rather than using adaptive release, I just click on it, go to Edit, and go down to, oh, I can't. I take it back. Am I doing something wrong? Rick, Brett, is there a way for me? Is one of these adaptive release, metadata, statistic tracking, move and delete? Nope.
Bill, you can enroll
I can't do anything. Say that again, Rick?
Are you enrolled in the course?
Yeah, I'm the instructor. That's why I had the instructor thing. In fact, I'm not even in my system admin account. I'm just in a regular account. Interesting. So once you've got it there, you can delete it. You can use the adaptive release to just set the display until date to tonight or right now at 4 o'clock or something, and submit it. But I'm just going to knock it out, or not do anything. Just leave it there. And the students, that was the April 9th one. Okay, the one thing, this is an incredibly rich system. I'm not going to go through the whole interface for the instructors that we're using to do the sharing in that, because we've got another session that does that, a recording that does that, and Blackboard on Demand has some information about that. But it is an incredibly rich and powerful thing. Under Blackboard Collaborate, if you do create a session, one of the things when you create the session, you can say repeat, so it's every Thursday from 2 to 4. That's my office hours. Boom. You can decide how early people can come into it. That means that you could use it up until then, and they can't use it because here is the start time and here is the end time, and then they can only get in this case, at 4:15. You can change that to 4 o'clock, whatever. The session type, whether it's a course or shared, who can get into this automatically? All users registered in this course, or all users registered in courses that you teach. So that would be the office hours. I'd want to do that. Teleconference options, there is a teleconference, but it really adds complexity to the system. I encourage you not to use that and use voice over IP until you get comfortable, and recording and getting everything joined together can be very confusing with a teleconference. Also, when you do it, it's not a local number. In today's world, that really doesn't matter. Our cell phones are almost all that stuff. Room attributes is a bunch of stuff here. How many people can talk at once, how many cameras can be shown at once, whether recording is automatic or disabled. Preloading content, those are the slides that you've been looking at. Allow in-session invitations. Do I want to invite people directly from the session, type in their email address or something? And here it is, Grade Center integration. This is the one. Instead of being required or optional, Grade Center integration says, yes, I'm going to add a grade column, and I'm just going to make it 1 point because I just want to know who is there. And I don't want to have to keep track of who's logging in and who's in the chat window. So that does that for you, just so that you know. And this is that assign roles. Who comes in as participants? If all users join as moderators, that means that everybody can share their screen and do stuff if they're a moderator. And assign access is where you can assign specific people to come in as moderators or as participants. This is where the TA set things up and the instructor didn't come in from the back end. They came from the other side and were the moderator. So I can go through here and I can say, well, let's see, Brett is going to be a moderator, so I'll submit that to him. So the two of us will be moderators. When I save this, we'll get an email with a link that takes us in, or we can come in from this back end. So creating a session is not what I'm about today. In fact, we've got an earlier one that Brett did, went through a lot of these details, but I did want to show you that it is possible to do that and to do some gradebook stuff. To start off, I wouldn't mess with any of that. I'd just get comfortable with the technology. Let's go back. So we had two objectives: to access the default Blackboard Collaborate rooms, understand what they are, and then to create a link to a Blackboard Collaborate room for student access and understand some of the dimensions and some of the options there. And that finishes my presentation. Thank you, Rick, for applauding. Brian, Nick, Rick, Brett, anybody have any questions? Nick has raised his hand. Go ahead, Nick. Typing? Oh, he didn't mean to raise his hand. He meant to applaud, I'm sure. While Brian is typing, let me say that you can only have 6 video signals, absolute maximum, showing at a time. So you can take away the video or people can turn off the video, but 6 people can be on at a time, and the speaker is always the one that shows. We've got up to 4,000 people, I think. There are a couple places where they say cut down on the number of speakers and the number of simultaneous speakers and the number of videos. And in fact, if you look over in the participant panel right now, you will see that my camera is on. It's got a little webcam picture, and my microphone is on, and I've got the whiteboard on. So those are the 3. Is that right? Or I can go to application sharing. I've got that right. Everybody else has both their camera and their microphone turned off. Since there are only 5 of us, we could turn them all on. But I have to get to about 4,000 people, most of whom are just going to be watching or typing in the chat window. They have Blackboard Collaborate, which is a part of Blackboard LLC, will put us onto a separate server. So if you're going to have some huge event, national event or international event that all kinds of people are going to be at, we can do that. And Brian asked, do we have a future session on adaptive release? Rick put in the link to our Weebly site, and if you go to that site, he actually took it all the way down to the session that we did. If you go to that site, you can also find our other snippets. I'm 3 behind right now, and since we're recording another one, that makes me 4 behind, but I will be producing them and putting them all up there. And I want to say 305-284-3949 is our phone number. Please, please, please call. If you're thinking of using Collaborate, call us. Work with us one-on-one, where we're both sitting here with our either the voice over IP or the telephone or everything to get everything set up, and you can try some things and we can work with you. It is crucial that you get comfortable. It's different doing it this way than it is doing it live. And there are a bunch of tricks that we can show you. For example, it looks like I'm looking at you. I'm not. I'm looking at myself. I have my own picture. That audio-video thing I drag out and put right under my camera. If I put it where it belongs over in the corner, then when I look at myself and talk, it looks like I'm ignoring you because I'm looking over here. So is that kind of stuff, once you get used to it, you just forget about it. It's like teaching in a classroom. You can walk into almost any classroom and teach because you're comfortable with it, so you know what to do. And getting comfortable with this requires some effort. The other Blackboard help at miami.edu is the address for our regular Blackboard help desk, and anything you need you can send to there. If you want to have somebody call you at a certain time to set something up, we can do that. And we also have Collaborate help at miami.edu, and right now that's, I think, going to Brett directly because he's been doing most of the back end setup and configuration. If you have a use for people outside of Blackboard, you can go out and get the link to your regular course and all, your default site, or you can make a site, or we can make sites. So that was the announcement yesterday. It was that groups like Student Affairs, if they want to use Blackboard, are welcome to use it. Blackboard Collaborate. They're also welcome to use Blackboard Learn, except only Blackboard people can get into it. But I know that nursing was there because DCIE was there. It was at the announcement yesterday because they want to use it for recruiting. They want to have webinars regularly that students can come into, hear something, and interact with the people that they would be working with if they came here for their degrees. So that is possible. It's actually possible with your rooms that are already there. I don't think I can fill up the rest of the hour. I'm going to have to let people go early. Brian, comment, typing. There was no applause when I said that, so. Okay, Brian. And if you want to get together and Brian or anybody else and look over the site and any issues that you've got, we have a couple abilities. One, we can use Blackboard Collaborate to share screens, and then we've got a product called Bomgar that we can use external from Collaborate to share your screen in a window and see what's going on. Thank you very much. This is Bill. Do we have? Nope, that's 43 or 43. This is Bill. You've heard from Rick and Brett in the Learning Platform team. Happy to have you with us today, and we do this every Wednesday at 3:30.